Great. How's everybody today? There we go.
From South Carolina. I guess I'm going to tell you which district, 32D. It's my pleasure to introduce our presenter. And it just so happens that we're both Minnesota born and bred, so you're in for a treat. For those of you that do not know, past international director Brian Shaheen, he's from a little, what is that name of that?
Bird Island.
Bird Island.
Where's Bird Island at? Exotic, beautiful place.
And with that, I'll turn it over to PID Brian.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So you already heard everybody's doing well. Y'all got sleep last night, so you're not going to be falling asleep in this presentation at all. Is that correct? Well, that's good because I always have a backup. As most of you people know that have come to my presentations before, there will be no sleeping allowed in here at all. You got it? All right. We know that ain't going to happen, so that's good. You always got to have something to keep your crowd awake all the time. So we're in Death by PowerPoint. In case you're in the wrong room, this is not unsuccessful skydiving. It's all about Death by PowerPoint, okay? This is also a Lions University class. This is one of the doctor classes. How many know about Lions University? Okay? Oh, cool. That's great. That's absolutely great. It's a 365-day learning experience that's supported by the forum. So it's great to be able to do that. And we have a quiz for this is actually posted online. So when you go back and you want to take the quiz on this, and this would complete the course to be able to do it as well. And we'll present this course a little bit later on during the year as well. So objectives of what we want to try and accomplish and what we're going to try and do today. And this is going to be very unique because I'm going to talk about and give a PowerPoint presentation, but we're going to all talk about the do's and don'ts of the things to do as well. And you're going to see a lot of things that I shouldn't do, and I do them anyway. It's just, you kind of got to be yourself and being able to do it. So we're going to avoid the cram it all in obsession of being able to cram everything on there because I can't remember it in my head, and I'm going to make sure I see every thought and every word and everything that I want to, so I'm going to throw it on my screen so I can read it. We're going to use animation and motion without annoying the audience. Sometimes that's not easily done either. And again, just part of how to do things. We're gonna do different stages here on how to do things. And before video, and I do a lot of videos, a lot of you people know to tie people in and keep people's attention. When I first started out, I did a lot of animation. How many people know how to find an animation like this and put it into your PowerPoint? Okay? A lot that don't. Just as a quick tip, and I'm going to give you a lot of tips too, and I'm also going to, I have printouts here, but I didn't hand them to you on purpose, because usually people are too busy looking at this than they are listening to me, and I'm an important person to listen to. You got it? Okay? So we're going to have those at the end too.
Your mic's not working.
Oh, my mic's not on. See, you should always test your room too to make sure you have your mic and everything is on, and that's good. Hey, there you go. All right. See, that's another one of those things I have to do it all. So we're doing it. Back to the animation here. How to find these on the internet. This is actually called a GIF, a graphical interface format. So what I typically do is I will look at, is that too loud? Okay. Turn down just a little bit. See it? Yeah, especially for me being so loud. There, is that better? Cool. And again, that's knowing your room a little bit as well. Back to what I was talking about again. That's called a graphical interface format. So when I look for things, when I look for these, I look for death and GIF on Google. And then that shows me a whole bunch of images like this. And all I have to do is, if you know how to copy and paste, how many know how to copy and paste? Cool, much better. So just take and copy, put your mouse on the image, copy it, go to your PowerPoint, hit paste. As soon as you bring that screen up, it'll start animating like that. Okay? So just little things like that. We'll give you little tips all the way along the way here too. Okay? But not using them in too much access. Prevent PowerPoint from making you look stupid. That's not always easily done. Just ask my wife. I won't use that one again. That's not good either. Effectively present bulleted lists without sounding robotic of just reading your presentation. Turn presentations into conversations. It makes for good listening. You want to make it interactive with people as well. That's very important to make your PowerPoint interactive and ask the questions so that people aren't falling asleep and they're staying engaged as well. Look at this by the end of the day. Get out from under your slides and begin truly sharing your experience. Design slides that actually support and reinforce your key points, connect with your audience so that your message is understood. And you want to make sure that you get your message across too. Those are very important things to be able to do. That's by PowerPoint.
If I want to sleep, I'll go there. And if I want to read, I'll this in my chair. And if I want to hear a monotonous drone, I'll ask a politician about free trade zones. And if I want charts on S&P, and if I want Multitude Connie or Jay-Z, you think I'm paying attention? Well, get inside my head. I'm here because I'll be the good God of the dead. It's inhuman. It's a crime. It's so painful, I got a brain full. They ought to throw you in the tube, because you're killing me with your... Now, I know you probably can't read this next slide at the back. Well, probably not at the front, but I really like this slide.
Now, how many have been there before? Huh? Absolutely, it happens all the time, and that's what one of the things of this presentation is how to keep our audience interactive and keeping them engaged all the time too. It's very important. It's probably one of the most important things. We're going to talk about an agenda. I'm very informal. If there's something you want to know or you came here for a specific reason, let's just make sure that we try and address it as well. And if you have a question, just bring up the question. I typically start, again, getting away from the presentation again, personal preference. I typically like to show objectives there so people understand what we're going to try and accomplish today. And then I like to throw an agenda up there. So again, people know the direction we're going in and we know what this is going to be about as well. So we're going to talk about some facts of PowerPoint. Then we're going to go on and talk about different tips and what the structure of a PowerPoint should be. And then we're going to do some do's and don'ts of things you shouldn't do. All the things I do are things you shouldn't do. So it's easy to teach that way. One of the most important things I think I can say, and I'll probably say it 3 more times, is to be yourself. Don't be anybody else. Go to the strong points that you have and how you present. Don't imitate or do something else because you thought it was funny. If you can handle it and pull it off, that's great. And it takes some time to figure out what things work for you and what things don't work for you. So you'll be very individual and do the things that you think you're very strong in. We're going to talk about some tools of what we can use in order to make our PowerPoints better. Like, how do I get a video and stuff in there? And we're going to share from you guys, too. How do you guys capture videos? Or how do you guys capture a picture? Or how do you guys just make the screen flip a little bit? We'll answer those questions if anybody questions those at all. So we're going to have some sharing as well. And then that hopefully will give us some answers to the questions that you guys have as well. How many of you here are scared to death of the idea of doing a PowerPoint? Do? And it takes time. We've all got to take that step out of the box and try some different things that we're uncomfortable with. And you don't know if you can do it until you actually try it a little bit. How many here think that they're okay, but they shake a little bit when they do their PowerPoints? Me too. I was here at 6:30. And even though I give the same presentation every single weekend, I sit there and I still have to go down and go through it and make sure that it's clear in my mind of what I want to try and do as well. How many know that they're good enough to be dangerous? Yeah, you guys are the guys that we got to worry about without a doubt, because you guys probably have the most problems because you try something a little different and it doesn't necessarily work all the time, like turning your mic on or something like that. How many can hold their own but their spouse is still proud of them? All right. One of the things you want to do when you're doing your PowerPoint is you want to be able to know your audience too. You want to know what the level is. And when you talk about technology and you talk about PowerPoint, it's not always easy because everybody in here is at a different level of what we want to do. And what my job is to do and what I wish to accomplish personally is to be able to have every single person get something out of this. So we'll start at a novice level and we'll end up more towards a more advanced level and the things that we want to do. But when you're asked to give a talk, you have to know the audience you're going to. If I'm talking to a bunch of high school kids on student council, I'm going to give a much different presentation than I may be to pastors or governors or lions or something else to that effect. All right? So you got to be able to know your audience. Another key point that you want to be able to do. Interesting facts. How many PowerPoint users are there in the world or the universe or the galaxy? They may be different. I don't know. Too many. Too many. Who's that too many? There you go. That was a good answer. Look out, Mary Duck. Oh, that was a good throw. He gets a stress penguin. Too many. That's the right answer. There are actually estimated to be about 300 million PowerPoint users in the world. How many PowerPoint users are there giving presentations today? Too many. That's another good answer, but I'm not going to give you a stress penguin. There's about 30 million presentations per day. This very second, PowerPoint, number of users giving PowerPoints right now, there's about 1 million PowerPoints going on in a second. And about half of those are lousy. You know that because you sat in on it, haven't you? Absolutely. I'm hoping this isn't one of those. Lots of people are getting bored and tired with bad presentations. Question? That is no, it's not quite a Linux penguin. That's a Bird Island penguin. So you can come and see the Bird Island. You can see the penguins in Bird Island, just like you can see the lake in Bird Island. We don't have a lake. Bullets don't kill people. Kill people with bad presentations, and that's what we want to try and avoid. How many believe those statistics? I got them off the internet, and everything's true on the internet, right? Absolutely. It's to get my point across of how many users there are, how many people are doing this, and how many bad ones there may be out there. Presentation tips. How come there are bad presentations? What are your thoughts? Well, why do you hate presentations on certain presentations?
They put every single thing you must possibly know in there, and then they read it, and there's no new information.
And the kitchen sink. And the comment was that they put everything in there they need to, and there's no significance at all to that. You see a lot of that? Avoid it if you can. Same thing? That's a good answer then.
They put too much stuff on the screen at one time.
They put too much stuff on the screen at one time and they use it as a crutch. And again, this is one of those things that I use it as a crutch. I do. And I give tons of PowerPoint presentations in a week. But you have to be knowledgeable of how to present them and how to bring them up as well. Not getting too much information on there. Having a good conversation with people. Otherwise it gets to be too boring. And you've all been there to be able to do it. I also like to get out of my PowerPoint. I want to make sure I get a point out of that, or you can bring something home. It's easy to pull up the negative things of what's bad about presentations, but I want to come with something positive. How do I make this better as well? Other things of why bad PowerPoint presentations are you've seen. What else makes them bad?
Presentators don't know their subject.
They don't know their subject. They don't know their material. Excellent. Absolutely it is. And if you're giving one, you better find out all the information you can on it because people are going to ask you questions. And if you don't know the answer, don't BS them. That stands for Brian Sheehan. Don't try and make the answer up. But I will get back to you. And if you leave me an email, I will get you back to the right answer.
The text is way too small for the people in the back.
The text is way too small for people in the back. When the people in the back see that, you want to make sure it is bigger, that you can see it. I'll give you another good example here, something that was bad as well. One more comment.
They discovered the flashing fonts right before they created the PowerPoint and too distracting.
I love flashing fonts. That's another thing you should do as well. Okay? And get some feedback from people too. Your spouse, your friend, your colleague, whatever it is. And practice in front of them. And what things do you like or don't like? Lack of significance. Lack of having a passion. You've got to have a passion. You have to have some excitement when you're giving your presentations. If you don't, it kind of extends to the audience as well. You've got to like what you're doing. Lose interest from the attendees. It's boring. It's monotone. You're reading your material and seeing your back the whole way through it. Presenter doesn't know the subject. You've really got to know your subject of what you're going to talk about. We're going to talk about picking subjects, picking themes, and there's a number of other reasons. I will have 75 slides for an 80-minute meeting. They will all be full of text with little to no white space in small font with lots of colors that hurt your eyes. I will deliver all 75 slides poorly as many ways as possible. How many slides should you have in a 60-minute presentation? Sometimes I have 60, sometimes I have 1. It all depends on what you're talking about, how well you know it. Is it going through things very quickly? I talk like I'm from Minnesota, so I could probably have 110 in there because I talk so fast. Reading you the slides to you with no inflection, attempting humor but only achieving an uncomfortable state of awkwardness in the room. Using jargon and acronyms you don't know. And we have a problem with that. Even simple ones like GMT and GLT. If I'm at a club or if I'm at a district or even when I'm in a multiple district, I'll say GMT and GLT just thinking people know about it because I've known it my whole life. There aren't. If you have acronyms, you have to say this stands for Global Membership Team, this stands for Global Leadership Team. Otherwise, you're going to lose that person. They're going to go up trying to figure out what GMT or GLT stands for. So using acronyms, be careful with them. I won't respect parallelism, spelling, or grammar. Not knowing the topic well enough to not consistently look back at the slide deck and say, many, many times. Standing in one spot. You won't know whether to look at me or the screen. I don't need your input. I just want to bludgeon you with information. You won't even know why you showed up. My point will be lost as you struggle to stay awake, much less focused. I will finish my slide deck even if you have to leave 10 minutes late to your next engagement because my time is valuable. I will get you all at some point to snore or yawn, and then I'll throw some goofy little document up there that makes no sense at all. Things you should do. And we all do them. I violated probably every one of those, didn't I, Mary? A lot of people have seen some of my violations, and you learn by the things you want to. And then you can have a very good slide. Now, if I'm giving this to the industry or something to the energy industry, it may make a lot of sense to them. But not making something that is just confusing and not knowing where I'm at. The simple, the easiest, the better. All right, so let's get started. Some presentation tips. Select a suitable topic. And you got to target your audience. You got to know who you're talking to. You also have to know how much time do I have. When I go and I give a 10-minute or 15-minute presentation, they were expecting 2 minutes, make sure you communicate and know who your audience is going to be and what that subject is going to be about. Create a catchy title. And we're going to talk about resources in a little bit, but who got their 101 handbook that the forum is giving out? Okay? You got a ticket for them. There's a plethora of information on here. I could probably make 1,000 PowerPoints out of it. I love the one that says, be a pro at what you do. No one shows up to meetings of the unsuccessful skydivers club. So you have to pick a topic that is catchy for them to go to. If you're giving something in regards to president, take me to your leader and have an alien theme or something throughout it. But you have to have something catchy to bring people to it. I use the first letter of if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. I just use the first letter of that, and people go, well, what is that? You know, you have something to intrigue their mind, to be able to get them to come to your seminar and your session first of all, and make it so that they know they're going to have a little bit of fun with it as well. Create a presentation outline. Have a theme. So when you first find out what your subject is, I got a name for it, start making an outline of the things that you want to accomplish. Start putting your objectives, like I just put at the beginning of this one. What is it I want to accomplish? And then start seeing how much time you have, and you're going to take the best pieces out of that. When I start with a PowerPoint, I probably have about 120 slides. I'll go and I'll Google death by PowerPoint. I'll Google bad presentations. I'll Google ineffective PowerPoints, and I'll grab some ideas and I'll jot them down and I'll create a little slide for them, and then I'll start picking out the ones that I don't like so that I can get nice and concise to the things that I would like to do. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. Develop useful and appropriate supporting material. You want to be able to have good material in your presentation. You have to be able to control your audience too. If your audience gets away from you, we could still be asking questions in the very first question that I asked of you. So you have to be able to control your audience as well. There's a lot of things you have to think about when you're first starting out. Start on time and end on time. Another one I had not been very good at in earlier years at all. You have to make sure that when you're done, you got to be done, and you have to give enough time in order to create surveys or anything else you do. You have to have great time management in what you're doing. And sometimes if I've got 10 slides or 15 slides in the PowerPoint and I'm close to the end and I'm only on slide number 3, so be it. It was good. We've had a lot of conversation more than likely, and I'd rather see that than complete to my ending slide, no matter what. Okay? So start on time, end on time. The most important thing is prepare. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Know what you're going to talk about. Try it a number of times. I would give the same presentation every single week when I was an ID, when I did my visitations and stuff. I would always practice that just before I went on all the time. And I'd always change it up too, just to make it interesting for my wife. She doesn't want to sit through the same thing 140 times. Make it a little bit different and put some different videos in there. And I always like to personalize it. When I went to visitations and stuff, I'd take pictures throughout the presentations and I'd put it inside the PowerPoint. Or I'd do videos. I'd take my own videos of people dancing and having fun and saying that's what Lions are all about. Find things that you can do to put them in there as well. So prepare is a huge thing. Question?
All right, we had the same number of slides in this presentation. Do you always have a really want to give out after the presentation? Because you have 20 slides that you kind of create dialogue and you end up with slide 3.
And the question is do I also have printed out ones as well? I do, and there's a couple of reasons as to why. One is you're going to probably use some of this information to help build some of your PowerPoints. I may not get to certain parts of those because it was more important for me to have some interaction with you. The other thing is I've gone to places and all of a sudden the lamp dies. And I have nothing else. I have to go buy something. I could obviously use my computer, but something happened to my computer as well. Always, that's part of the preparation. Be prepared. Come check your room out, making sure that everything is working. But yeah, I really do have printouts all the time when I go places, as much as possible. Because I want people to be able to use these things as a resource, to be able to do them as well. Preparation is probably one of the most important things you can do. We all need to be prepared. And we only do that by practice. Preparation is being confident in the things that we do as well. It builds our confidence. Looking good is important. Sometimes I'd rather have the knowledge than being overly prepared, wouldn't we? But preparation is a very important thing that we need to be able to go on, and you have to be able to anticipate the things that are going to happen. You have to be able to anticipate some of the questions that you're going to do, and you have to be able to convey that to everybody else as well. So preparation is very, very important. One of the things you'll see as I do in bringing some video in sometimes, I always try to bring my audience back in about every 15 minutes or so. When you get something in your head, you hear something in my mind. I don't know about yours, but mine's 15 miles away. As soon as I hear something, I'm off thinking about something else or how I'm going to do things. You got to be able to bring people back into what you're trying to convey to them as well. Very important to be able to do. Being able to break it down within your PowerPoint presentation. Again, this is my suggestion. You use and do what works good for you guys. Okay? I like to have objectives. I like to have an introductory screen that has the title and the proper date, the date that's right on it all the time. And one of the reasons that I do that is when I print things out and you guys take these back, you can say, well, when this actually happened. The other thing is I will also keep every PowerPoint that I have, and when I go to a club, what things I've done within that PowerPoint as well. So when I'm invited back a year later or 2 years later or 3 years later, I'm not going to give the same talk. I'm going to give something different in that all the time as well. Being able to state what your objectives are, being able to have an outline or an agenda, and then you have the meat of the presentation, all of your content slides, transitions and animations. We can talk about that a little bit later on if we want to. And then at the end, we restate our objectives again. Did we accomplish what we came out here to do? I typically like to do that. You'll see as LCI does a lot of presentations, and you see some of them this weekend. You'll see they state objectives in front, they state objectives in the back. That's a very good model to take a look at and what LCI does. They do a wonderful job of doing it. And then the final slide, last point, you got to take something back with you. make it meaningful. Make them remember it, because that's one of the last pieces that they're going to remember when they do this. The introductory slide, this is the most important slide that you have. Okay? You have got about 60 seconds of somebody's time of making them understand that, yeah, this is going to be fun, this is going to be something I'm going to get something out of, this isn't going to be one of those boring presentations that we do. Okay? Mazookas, $39.95 on Google. And you can remember them. Do something to remember people on what you can do. So introduction is a very big piece. Put the art in the start. Make it so that you know that we're going to try and keep your attention for 60 minutes. Okay? That's one of the most important objectives that I want to try and do. If you lose them, you might as well start creating a wake right now. Okay? Let's talk about how we're going to start a presentation. Again, feel very confident, feel very relaxed in the things that you do. You have to have confidence. You absolutely do. Y'all know Barney.
Thank you, Mayor and fellow Great Plains. That electrician must be a Democrat. Thank you, Mayor and fellow Great Plains. I'm proud to be here today.
Now you got to give it credit for Barney Fife. He's giving it a shot, and he's stepping forward, maybe stepping out of his comfort zone a little bit. And he'll lose his speech and stuff right away. That's just part of being the preparedness. So you got to give him the kudos for being up there and trying to do something that's a little bit different. But again, being prepared, be yourself, don't be nervous, and you can get that way by doing a lot of practicing as well, and knowing what your subject matter is and the things that we do. 7 brilliant ways to start a presentation. What are your thoughts, and what's good ideas in starting a presentation? What do you guys do sometimes in starting a presentation?
Ask a question.
Ask the question right away. Are you comfortable in doing the things that you're doing? How many PowerPoint users are there in the world? Get them interactive right away. Other things that are great starts. Great idea. Use a humorous thing, but make sure it's connected to your subject. You don't bring things in just to have them funny. You got to be able to always tie it back to what your point is and re-stress your point coming off of it as well. Okay? Other great starts, other things you can do in trying to start a good presentation. Yeah. Have a question, have them start thinking about what we're going to try and accomplish by the end of the presentation as well. Good point. Let them thinking and know what's coming. I start out a lot of my presentations like, I'm going to ask you a little bit later on, why are you aligned? Now, I don't want you to start thinking about that for the next 15 or 20 minutes and forget about everything else I do. So you have to bring it in at the appropriate time too. Maybe give them a slide thought or a second slide thought and why, and force why I love being aligned. That's another great point. Okay? Other things are good starts. Let me give you some ideas. Storytelling. If you're a good story, some of us are good storytellers, some of us are not. But saying, especially something maybe personal on the things that you do. When I started my first PowerPoint, I was scared to death. My first line PowerPoint. I've done a number of them in the industry, but my first line when I was giving one on leadership. I didn't know what to do, so I brought a box with me and I stood inside the box. I said, we got to step out of our box sometime. The thing that really caught their attention was I had a 5-gallon water bucket on my back, and I said, anybody that falls asleep, you'll get it. So, but and because I'm very nervous, but having a story to tell, especially about one from yourself as well. Ask a rhetorical, thought-provoking question that came up to be able to use. State a shocking statistic or a headline. There's 1 million PowerPoints going on at this second, and there's only one that's really cool right here, and you guys are part of it. Use a powerful quote. The PowerPoint or not the PowerPoint? That's the question. Whatever it is that you like to do. I did a lot of things on mythical characters, and I brought in a mythical story, and I would always tie that to the presentation that I was doing. That's what I started out a long time ago. Show some type of gripping photo, especially something in regards to it. Okay? Use a proper creative aid. Again, $39.95. and being able to play a short video. I appreciate videos because I can put them in there. I can embed them in as part of the deal. That's just something that I do. But again, be yourself and things that work comfortable for you. Content. How do you find the content for your presentation? Starting with your agenda, as I talked about before. Do a lot of brainstorming. And using Google. I use Google a lot in order to try and find out some of my material. And I just pull the pieces together that fit good into my mind. And like I said, every single time I do I'll give this PowerPoint a day from now and I'll have it all changed around because it's how I feel for the day as well and what I want to try and accomplish. Keeping it simple. Very simple. And opening up the content to open discussion. Not just reading things all the time. Keeping their interest. Use key words. Very small pieces. Use it as to, okay, now I'm going to start talking about words. But don't put a whole long sentence in there. And again, learn by example. I have a lot of words in there. I could have probably shortened that down a great deal. I could have just said great content. Okay? And then I could elaborate on that. Being able to limit your fonts and colors. I'm having all the different types of fonts in there, and the colors I had like before gives you a headache. Typically, I'll try and stay within one font, possibly two fonts within my whole presentation, not to distract from it. Or having a lot of different colors in there as well. It's very distracting for people. Or blinking or flashing. Sometimes it's appropriate, most times it's not. Use pictures and graphs and charts. Most people are all visual. You want to be able to see that, and they can relate to visual items. And that's where PowerPoint can be very powerful for you as well, as opposed to just sitting up there and talking and losing people's interest. Pull them back in again occasionally. Follow the rule of 6s or 7s. No more than 6 lines on a screen. Again, I violate it sometimes. No more than 6 words on a sentence, or 7. Again, I violate it sometimes, but I try to improve myself all the time. I know what I'm doing is wrong sometimes, but I'm told to give a PowerPoint for tomorrow. My sentences may be a little bit longer because I want to be able to stick, or I'm not maybe as comfortable in the subject. I may have a little bit longer sentence. But rule of thumb, try to stick to about 6 lines or 6 words within that line. Okay? Presenting. Don't read it. A lot of people do it. A lot of people are comfortable in just standing up there white knuckle and reading what I'm doing, and I'm not going to look at anybody because I need to get through this. Okay? Again, do what's comfortable for you, but try not to read your presentation. Don't talk with your back to the audience. Does this make my butt look big? I want to know. All right? Be yourself. Do not be someone else. We talked about that already. Reveal one point at a time. A lot of people, and this is personal preference to people. It's what you're comfortable with. A lot of people, I don't want to chew gum and walk and worry about a clicker going forwards and backwards. I want to throw my stuff up there and then let me talk about it. My thought process is if I throw a whole screen up there, everybody's going to be reading that and maybe not trying to listen to the point that I'm trying to come across. So for me, that works good. And being able to have individual points come up there one at a time. If you like throwing it all up there, throw it all up there. You're comfortable with it. Right? Having eye contact with everybody as well. Everybody wants to feel part of this presentation as well. And if I'm looking off somewhere else because I don't want to have, because I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say, you're going to lose it with the people as well. I'll make sense, common sense stuff. This is a lot of common sense things that go forward a long way. Getting the audience involved, get them interactive. You got to get people involved and in discussions and think about things. Splitting up into small groups or anything else, getting people involved. You got to keep their attention or you're gone. Absolutely gone. Okay? What do you guys have in your toolbox? What do you guys use for PowerPoint and getting the information? I mentioned a couple of them already. Google. I use Google a great deal to find out my information. What other tools do you guys use? Or we're going to talk about how do we get some things into our PowerPoints now too. Huh? Clip art. Being able to use clip art. Being able to use, and that's within PowerPoint too. And remind me, and I'll show you where that clip art is. Or I want to put a little picture in here or a diagram. Being able to use those things to make it visual. Clip art is another great tool to be able to use. Other great tools you guys use? You use Visio? And what do you get from the Visio? Using Visio. Great suggestion. That's what we're looking for. What other things do people use? Because I want you guys to be able to go home and try some things too. LionsClubs.org. For getting content. Tons of it. Being able to do that. you use this handbook 101, there is a ton of stuff in here, and using that as a resource. Resources are very powerful to be able to use, and you've got to have a resource. Time is short, and I want to get these PowerPoints out, and I want to get as much content as I can and then start knocking things out. I'm not going to come up with just 3 slides or 10 slides and go on that. I want to get a whole bunch of them and pick out the lousy stuff that I have a hard time presenting them. Other tools you use. Spell check all the time. And I'm again, it's one of those I'm just terrible at. And you think it'd be easy because there's a little red line underneath it and you know it's not spelled right. My problem is I don't give it enough of a clue to give me a hint of what it should be. And grammar. I'm very terrible at too, and this is just a bad habit of mine, is sometimes I'll capitalize the word in the middle of a sentence and sometimes I won't. Be consistent. And however you do it, sometimes I'll capitalize every one of the big words. Okay? Just be consistent in what you're doing.
Do not rely on spell check.
Do not always rely on spell check for being here, H-E-A-R versus H-E-R-E. Okay? So have somebody look at it too. I'll tell you, a lot of my presentations, people come up and say, well, you spelled base wrong, B-A-S-S. It's like it's all about the base. I spelled it wrong. But I wanted to say, no, it is about the base, B-A-S-E. So sometimes you got to explain it to them as well. Okay? Other tools you use. I'm going to show you a couple of tools that I use. Lost my glasses. That'll be a short presentation. Okay? I'm going to show you a few tools that I use, and we always want to be able to have people come away with certain things too. Some things that I will do is I will use the internet to do certain things, and I will use the internet within my PowerPoint presentation as well. Okay? If you put a hyperlink on there, www whatever, and I want to go to, or a video, if there is something on Lion's quarterly newsletter that you thought was cool, or Centennial, and I want to do that, and I don't know how to copy that off of YouTube or anything else, this is a very simplistic way to do it. Make sure your room is set up properly. Make sure you have internet, and I do have internet, and I have it active, or making sure you can get to it. But a lot of times within my PowerPoint, and typically I'll have a clicker here that I can use my mouse on, or if I have to come up here and I need to click on that, I'll just click on it, and it's going to bring me there. And I can do certain things now that I would like to be able to do it. There's a video there, and I want to play a video. I can go over here to promotions. And there's a very nice video here in regards to the convention, and it will play it. Just a quick key. When I don't want to play it, I'm just going to pause it. Okay? And when I'm done with that, just a quick key. I do an alternate tab on my keyboard. And it takes me right back to where I was again. Okay? So I can use that internet to be able to do that. Or if I don't remember what that alternate tab is, I could just minimize that internet and click on my PowerPoint in my bottom of my screen and bring it back up again. Whatever works for you guys to be able to do. So we're going to start talking about some of these little tools, how to make your presentations a little better too. Again, I want something from everybody to bring things home from people. Image capture, we talked about that a little bit earlier. If I want to have a little image that's kind of graphical in movement, because people like to see little things that move, I just Google depth and GIF, and that gives me a graphical interface that moves all the time. Okay? Or whatever I'm talking about, leadership, GIF, and that gives me one that moves. Or I just talk about leadership picture or leadership video. Me, I always put the word hilarious in front of everything. Hilarious leadership video. Hilarious depth video. So that I can try and find some videos that make sense to me to be able to use. Okay? Another thing being able to use is video capture. And I'm going to give you the tools that I use. This was a little bit harder a number of years ago to do, because I'd find something really cool on YouTube and I couldn't get it off. I didn't know how to play it. I could use that little link that I had and I could do that. But I really had a hard time capturing that information and finding that information. So there's two tools that I use all the time, and Apple may have different ones as well. How many here are Mac users? They're Apple users. I like to find my audience as well. And so you're going to be using Keynote and some other things. So some of the things we have here is just getting the idea and the concept behind it, and then figuring out how to do it on Keynote or something else. Okay? I use video capture for if I want to find something funny. So I'm just going to get out of here for a moment. I'm going to take a shortcut going this way, and I'm going to minimize that. Oops, let me do it again. I use for your internet browser, there's a number of internet browsers out there that you can use. Okay, I use Internet Explorer. That's the one I most use. There's Chrome, there's Safari, there's other ways to find things on the internet. I found Google has one called Chrome, and there is a overlay on top of that, or an attachment to that called Torch. If you just Google Torch, and you can download that, it uses Chrome. But one of the tools that I really use in Google Torch, and if I'm looking for something, I want to take a look at hilarious minion video. And that's going to go out there and it's going to find something for me. I went to ask. I'd rather go up here, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right to YouTube. All right. Okay? And inside of here, I'm just going to go hilarious minion video. And I'm going to get a pile of them. Okay? If I have one out here, there's a 3-minute one. Okay? If I click on that, with Torch, you'll see that there is a little blue down arrow there. That downloads it to my machine. I now have a video that I can put inside of my PowerPoint. That's what I can do. Show you again? Yep, it's going to cost you a buck though. And again, I'm using Torch. Right up here, there's a little blue arrow, and he's pointing if you would like to download it. Right there. Okay? As soon as I click that, you're going to see it's going to start down here, and I can see that that's going to download my video. Torch is free. Okay? I like free tools. I used to have to buy certain things in order to be able to do it. Let me set him down here. Okay, now, that is like a 6-minute video. Okay? And it I have it set up so it goes into my download folder, and I'll show you that in a minute. Question?
How do you avoid your
I'll show you. Good question. And I usually reward my people here too when they've got a great question or something come up. I bring my own $2 bills too. I create my own. There you go. Okay? How about now that I have that video there, it's 8 minutes, and what do I want to be able to do with it? Movie Maker is free. Another one of those free tools that I use. There are other video editors out there. What I do is I go to Google and I say free video editor. And it gives me some options to be able to use. Okay? So now what I do is I'm going to use a product called Movie Maker. And I have that on my machine. And then within Movie Maker, and I'm going to do this fairly quick. I can give a whole presentation just on Movie Maker, but I'm going to add a video. And that's going to open up inside of, and of course technology never ever works. So another way I can do it is I can go to my downloads folder right there, and right there, Funny Minions on YouTube, and I'm just going to click that and copy that, and I'm going to go over to Movie Maker, and I'm going to just right click here, and I'm going to paste it into there. Or I could grab it out of here as well, right there, Funny Minions, and there, it put all of Minions into here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the front part of that because there's a bunch of advertising there, and I only want like a 30-second or a minute video. And sometimes, again, don't do what I do. Sometimes my videos are too long. Run it by some people. Make sure you have content. Sometimes if I can talk during that video, I'm good as well. But being able to have that video there, and now it just sits there, and it plays it. Okay? And if all of a sudden I want to say, no, I don't, and let's just say that's advertising. I'm going to pause it here, and I just right-click here, and I'm going to say that's where I want to start. So I'll just shorten up my video. I can cut pieces out of here. Okay? Nice tool that I'm giving you all my trade secrets here. Everybody's going to be a wonderful presenter here shortly. Okay? And then when I'm done, all I have to do is say File, save it, for my computer, and I can just call it whatever I'd like to. Forum 2015. And I could make that into, I like using a WMV file, a Windows Media file, or you can keep it as a MPEG or whatever you want to. Save it away, it's there. Now you're saying, how do I get that into my presentation? That's the next question, isn't it? You owe me $2. Okay? So if I want to get it into my presentation, I Good answer. Good answer. So I'm going to go to my presentation here, and I'm just going to hit exit. Go back to my presentation. And I'm going to just add a new slide right here. And I could click on the video down here, or I could do an insert of pictures, or I could insert a video. There's a number of ways to do the same stuff. I'm just going to insert a video from my PC, and I'm just going to go directly to wherever I save that at, downloads, and I'm going to put in Funny Minions. And there it is. It's inside my presentation. Part of my presentation. So I don't have to worry about having internet or anything else. Helpful tool for people? Okay? Now, a couple other tools, and we're going to open this up to questions. We've got about 15 minutes left. I want to make sure we can answer any questions that you guys have, or is there something you're dying to know and you're willing to pay $2 for it? No, I'm kidding. Now, if I want that to start right away too, a lot of things that I will do is I will do animations. Now, this is PowerPoint, okay? It's on every version of PowerPoint. Within the animations, I like to see my preview screen over here. Oops, my animation pane over here, so I know what's going on. In my animation pane, when I click on my video, how do you want that to start? When I come to the screen, do you want to click the button for it to start because I'm going to say something ahead of it? Or I could start it as soon as the screen comes on. So as soon as I go there now, the screen will come on and I'll start my video up, so I don't have to do a lot of touching or thinking or worrying about technology. Okay? So that's how I do that type of information. Just to show you an example of what I did before, and this time I'll just use Internet Explorer. If I'm in Internet Explorer and I go to Google, and I want to do deaf GIF. This is what I was talking about. This is going to show you, and there's a lot of images of death out here, and they're all images that will actually move too when you hover over them as well. All you have to do is do a right click and copy it, and then let me just copy it here, and then I go to my PowerPoint, go to the screen that I want to, right click, and I'm going to paste it. Let me get rid of that one. Okay? And so that's how you can copy, and that's how you can paste the item in there as well. Question?
Are there any trademark or proprietary things you need to be concerned about when you pull stuff off the internet?
That's another one of those great $2 questions. You do have to be careful in some of the things you present, and you got to see where the presentation is going to go as well. I actually got a letter from a picture company because in our manual, our own personal manual for my business, we had the back screen of a flower, which was just the background information that came from Microsoft. I got a letter from that person saying, we are suing you because you are using the backdrop. Even though it was free with Microsoft or anything else, you have to be careful of images and slides and especially if it says copyrighted or anything else. That's why I typically, when I search for things, I'll typically put hilarious and free in there. Okay? But yeah, you do that. And again, for a group like this, and it's not going to go anywhere, I'll typically use some things, but be very careful. I had no plagiarizing, no stealing. If something was, I can download things that cost money. Those are things I don't want to use. Or people ask me a lot of times, can I have your PowerPoint? I said, absolutely, but there's a few in there I have to take out because I have purchased them. I don't want to give them away for free if I did purchase them. Question? Being wary of viruses. That's a huge thing. I own a computer company. I can't tell you how many people get me, and all of a sudden you have this crypto virus that says, give me $300 by next Tuesday, or I'm going to delete everything, and it will. There's nothing we can do about it as a computer company. Be careful and know your sources of where you're going places. Make sure you do have an antivirus, some type of protection on your machine. It's worth the $29 to get it.
Don't use people's pictures unless you get their approval.
Don't use people's pictures unless you get their approval. Amount of money, but here you can have another stress payment. Making sure that you have permission to be able to do that. And also don't put people in embarrassing situations sometimes. I was at a convention one time, and an older PID stood up and he says, "You got to get off your dead butts and get some members, you know." And I ran it by him before I put it on there. It's the least thing I want. It's the last thing I would like to do, and embarrass somebody by knowing that they're going to be there or how they were dancing as well. So you don't want to embarrass people, and be careful putting people's pictures on there too. Those are great comments, and that's what we want to try and accomplish by this too. Other things, PowerPoint-wise, I can show you just a couple more little things here too. As an example, if I have transitions going on in between here too, like when I first go on this screen, now I'm on PowerPoint 2013. 2013 started having some of these tools that if I want, on a transition, I want to make this a airplane. And it's just going from screen to screen. It's called a transition. I acquired these, or I bought these a lot of years back to be able to have a transition that kind of keeps people's attention from screen to screen, so their mind's not. You got to always bring their mind back here again. Okay. Same thing. One more comment. Same things if I have a bunch of lines in here as well, and I can do that with an animation across the top. And if I want this particular line, I want to split that, or I want it to fly in. That's how you can do the animations coming up there too. But don't make them too glittery. I try to be very consistent from screen to screen to screen. If I'm in an area called content, I will try to have that transition and how they come up the same, so it doesn't try to distract too much from people too. Question? Thank you. All right.
One thing that I've been told is you've got to be careful if you're doing a PowerPoint as a webinar. You need to be more careful about how much content you put in there, because it gets very slow over the internet sometimes.
If you're doing, another good point, if you're doing a webinar and you're doing video or you're doing things like that, you got to think on the other side, that will slow things up. It's like you send somebody a newsletter or something too. It takes a long time to send that stuff through the broadband, through the internet, through the pipe, in order to be able to get it there. You have to be careful on how big your stuff is too. All right? Any others? Let me hustle back to where I was here again. Yeah, you want to try and be very consistent, and especially from screen to screen, especially if I'm in a section, I will try and keep those things blinking or flying in or however I want, but not making it too distracting. When I started doing some transitions right away, I had spaceships and they were revolving around and spinning, and it's like, no, that's the most important thing is let's get to our content. What is the point I want to bring across to you guys? All right? Those are some great contents, and I hope you guys learn from some of that information on being able to share in the different things you use. Other tools that people use, I know there's some other people I talked to here a month or so ago, and there's different tools. But again, find free video editor, look for free video downloading. A lot of time, I use a lot of jib jab too. I like to do a jib jab, and I like to put faces and stuff in there. And I pay $2 to download that right from jib jab, and then I can put that in Movie Editor, Movie Maker, and I can edit that the way that I want to as well.
I use my spouse, which is very
You use your spouse because he's very honest with you. Good to have an honest spouse. Me too, absolutely. And they'll give you feedback too. They'll give you good feedback, and that's one of my next pieces here I want to talk about. Is the ending. Leave them with something big. Leave it so that they know when they come back they're going to have a good time. Tying it all together, trying to within the theme of death by PowerPoint, kind of always coming back to that. I do a lot of things when I do a charter night. I will say puzzles, and we're going to give you all the puzzle pieces here, and keep that puzzle theme throughout things too. And always reverting back to that, or making it a puzzle or a game show or something like that. Again, recap your objectives, which I'll do here at the end. I didn't start doing that until recently, and I got that from LTI. Take a look at other people's presentations and get ideas from them. Surveys and critiques. And you guys are going to be given one here shortly. Don't take it to heart. If somebody says, yeah, I didn't care for your video or something, and you have to be very careful too with not being too crass or anything else. And I try to always enlighten it like, This is meant to be fun. It isn't meant to be derogatory to women or men or anything else. And just, I always try to go back to what my point is on the content that I'm trying to do. But doing videos and doing critiques at the end. It's the day of your presentation, know who your audience is, make sure that you prepare, rehearsing. That's when you're going to feel comfortable. Check out your room, making sure you know where your room is and what the acoustics are in your room. Needing audio, do I need internet? Do I need a microphone? And that's some of that stuff up front. Can you hear me in the back? Okay? There's nothing worse than sitting through a whole presentation and I can't hear what's going on. Okay? Be aware of the other presenters. How long do you have? Don't overstep your bounds. When you're done, you're done. Be prepared with technology. Have I had bulbs burn up? I have 2 speaker systems with me. I have another projector with me that I usually carry all the time. And I got handouts in case things really go bad. I will also email my presentation to me as well so that I have it here. So if I need that, use it as a crutch. I'd rather just remember the items that I have, but I'm a type of person that I always want to go back because I do a lot of different things in a given week. Okay? Any other questions? Again, the objectives, did we accomplish things? Did we bring these to your attention? Are these things that you don't want to remember to overlook? And we'll give you a handout here too. You can pick one up on your way out. Those are things that you want to try and accomplish and make sure that you can cover as well. Okay? How do I become a better presenter? Practice, practice, practice. Can't say it any better than that, can you? He does that for 3 hours. We'll spare you the rest of it. And again, as one ending that I always do, and I've got about 2 minutes left here before we pass it back to Rick here for surveys, is one of the things that when I was a district governor, I had a great team of district governors, and Wes Sidey was one of my fellow governors, and he just loved the world. He was an old history teacher. And we went to the iBank, we went to the Hearing Foundation, and he'd be writing down reams and reams of spiral notebooks of everything that was going on, you know. And he's got to be retired, and he started working at a Byerly's grocery store, which is an upscale grocery store that we have in the Minneapolis area. And he did his midwinter convention, and I called up Wes, and I said, Wes, you did a wonderful job, man. You conveyed the love and the passion you have for lions, and he was going to bring in some strawberries for Lori's and my convention the following weekend. And he told me a story that night, and he said, you know, one lady came up to me and I was baking her groceries, and he said, you know, have a good day, is what she told me. I promptly corrected her. I said, it's not have a good day, it's make a good day. You make a good day, and you make the day that it is. And you've got to remember that each and every single day. Because that night he actually passed away. And I don't say that for you to be sad or sorry. I say that because he did make a great day for me. He made a great day for a lot of people. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And it's all about making a good day. And you guys can make good days by having good presentations and enjoying the things that you're doing. That's the most important thing in life to be able to do. So that's the way I always try to close mine, and remembering that and coming back remembering throughout the day that you want to make a good day for somebody else. Okay? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, PID Brian.
You bet.
We ran out of feedback forms. I guess he didn't expect this many people to see Brian, but hey. So, if you're
More
set
than
up
mine online.
electronically, are you hearing me? If you have the electronic version, if you pass the form on to somebody else, I got one.
Here's another
So
one.
we'll pass that back there.
Here's another one.
Here's another one. Anybody else need one? Oh, there's all kinds of them. Oh, that's church stock. I don't know what the solution to this is other than get another form and bring it back to me.
One more comment too. As you take these, if you want to take them, my email is in the front too, and you say, you know, I saw how you did this, or just tell me how I can get a line on my screen that has a little bit of animation. Email me, and I'll give you some screenshots or whatever you need to too. It's all about sharing and helping each other out.
And with that, we'll close the session, and thank you, PID.
Thank you, guys.